Hey, what's up, guys? It's Oakley. I'm actually traveling at the moment, so I'm not getting you the most up-to-date news, and I'll be back Thursday. So in the meantime, take a look at our charity videos, and I hope you donate. Otherwise, I'll try and cover the news, but I won't be able to get it to you as readily. Anyways, there's some new stuff right here, which are some images showing off the tactical view. So they flesh it out a bit more. Here you can see it's going to be views from historic battles. This is pretty cool. So not only do we see the tactical view, but also some of the historic battles that we'll be seeing. So right here you can see this is a battle of Pharsalus. It's going to be Caesar's forces against Pompey's forces in red. So, of course, you're going to have to decide the fate of the Republic. This would have happened after Caesar had his blitzkrieg invasion of Italy. Pompey and the senators, at least most of the Senate, was forced to retreat, and those loyal to the Republic were essentially retreated into Greece and Macedonia, where Pompey gathered most of his forces, and they had a bunch of confrontations. Of course, these were two great generals. Sort of a stalemate at Dyrrhachium, although Pompey was able to claim. Here, they're engaging again after Caesar had chased Pompey for a while, and essentially Pompey was trying to wear Caesar out. Caesar had less men, was not as well supplied, and so Pompey knew he could just wait Caesar out, and his men would eventually run out of food and supplies. But on the other hand, Pompey had his senators who were all sort of goading him on, trying to force him to engage Caesar. And actually, before this battle even happened, they had prepared a feast. All their tents were wreathed in laurels of victory and all that stuff, so they were overly confident, and when the battle actually happened right here, Caesar was outnumbered, but he gained victory, of course, and he went on to rule Italy and the Roman early start of the Roman Empire before he was assassinated. But anyway, you can see here the main focus of this battle is, of course, Caesar is outnumbered, and especially the Pompeian troops. He had a lot more cavalry. There were, I think, around 5,000 of them, whereas Caesar was limited to, I think, only around 1,000 or so. So Caesar was heavily outnumbered. And what he did actually to command this was he stripped one of his rear troops and positioned them hidden behind his cavalry forces. They were screened by the cavalry, and so when Pompey's forces, his cavalry, rode in, Caesar was able to bait him in, turn his cavalry around, and Pompey's sort of amassed horses ran into the hidden infantry, which were using their pilla as spears, and they were able to drive back this mass cavalry front. Because they were so compact, they couldn't really maneuver well, and they were essentially destroyed by those reserve infantry, driven off, and Caesar's cavalry were able to come back and roll up the whole side of Pompey's forces. But again, I'll do a whole analysis of this in the future. I just want to walk through this. Next one is going to be the Battle of Raffia. I'm not really sure, I don't know the historical context of this entirely, but it's going to be the Egyptians down on the bottom in yellow, and then the Seleucids on the top. So Antiochus III on the top against Ptolemy, and if you go to the site, they talk a bit more about the history of the battle. I'm not going to comment on it too much. I don't know enough about it. The next engagement is going to be the Battle of Zama. So this is going to be Scipio Africanus on the bottom, yellow. Those are going to be the Romans against Hannibal Barca. Of course, it's the famous Hannibal from Carthage on the north. So this is going to be at the end of the Second Punic War. It's going to actually mark essentially the final days where these two great generals are going to face off. Hannibal has been recalled from Italy because Scipio has launched an invasion of Africa, and so Carthage called back its great general. Here you can see, of course, the Carthaginians right there have aligned their horses on the flanks and their elephants in the front, and at this point Hannibal did not have access to his core veteran troops that he had throughout his career in Italy that were basically undefeated. When he came back, he had to essentially take hold of a force that was crudely thrown together, and so the way he staggered his lines was he put the least experience in the front, and he had 3 ranks, and in the back would have been some of his core veterans that he was able to bring back with him. So his idea was to wear out the Romans, and in the final blows in his third line and essentially crush them. Hannibal was not given the flexibility that he wanted, because in this engagement actually he did not have all his core troops, and especially the cavalry on the flanks were not as solid as he had wanted, and it was actually the Romans who held the cavalry advantage in this engagement, which was sort of different from the way Hannibal liked to fight. Hannibal liked to have strong cavalry advantages, and it's what allowed him to beat the legions over in Italy. Anyways, here the Romans were particularly well organized under Scipio. The way they dealt with the African elephants, or the Carthaginian elephants, was they blew their trumpets all at once. This caused some disarray, and when the elephants charged, the Romans actually parted, creating sort of alleyways in between the legions, and once the elephants were funneled down there, they were basically attacked by the javelin men and the pila. They were basically brought down, and the rest were able to run harmlessly through the back of the legions, and they panicked and fled, sort of similar to what you would have seen Alexander the Great do at the Battle of Gaugamela with chariots and so this was a great battle, and it ended in Roman victory. It was a very close fought battle actually at the start. When it came down to it, Hannibal finally had his last line of veterans, and they were going to engage against the remaining Romans. It was the Romans had basically worn down their forces, and it was going to be a huge infantry line against another huge infantry line across a field littered with dead bodies. And just as they're about to engage and we're starting the fight, Roman cavalry returns after having smashed the Carthaginian cavalry, and they complete an encirclement of the Carthaginian troops and thus win the battle. So those are going to be the 3 battles in a nutshell, and of course when we have access to them I'll run through them in full detail. Another thing I wanted to point out is this video right here. Go ahead and check it out. I'll link it to you. It's basically a 19-minute long video with Prince of Macedon where he was able to see a D-Day like battle, and they talk, or what did I say? Heir of Carthage, excuse me. Yeah, Heir of Carthage has access to a D-Day type battle, and he talks about Will and Craig, talks about the game. So it's really cool, very insightful. Go and check it out. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much. Again, I'm back Thursday, and hopefully I'll be able to upload more reliably. See you guys.